Welcome into another high school preview show. We got Coach Harris with Buford High School on. Espo, Sean Smith are on. Coach, what's going on?
Not much, man. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, we appreciate you joining. I talked to Sammy. We've got some new schools on this year, and that's huge. We got out to see you guys last year, and it was impressive nonetheless. And kind of want to start off with that. Talk about last year a little bit for you guys.
Last year was what I would say we were a year ahead. We expected to be a solid program, but we didn't expect to have the 26-4 season that we have. I think we ripped off 17 straight at one point, and we played a lot of quality teams, and they pushed us, and we were able to, to power through. Sometimes, we were able to power through easy, and sometimes we had to, work a little bit harder than we wanted to. But the guys came together. They gelled. My three captains, who were all seniors, they did a great job leading us, just kept us into it. And we had a lot of young guys last year that stepped up. Like I said, and that's why we didn't expect to really have as great as a season as we did last year, because we weren't expecting a whole lot out of sophomores, and they really stepped up and did great for us to help propel us to where we ended up going.
You talk about some of those sophomores, right? And obviously some of those senior captains that have moved on from your program. Kind of talk about some of your returners that you're looking to kind of take that leadership role and kind of take that next step and help you guys continue to make that jump and maybe be that year now, not a year behind or a year ahead on that one. Maybe the year be this year.
So the reason we thought this year would be the year, and I'm a guy that I love playing the underdog role, and I don't like to count the chickens before they hatch, so to speak. But when we look back at what our seniors and juniors are right now, when they've played together as a unit since they were in middle school, they've only lost about 4 to 6 games. I don't know exactly what it is over middle school and JV as a unit. And the teams that they've lost to were like Gray Collegiate or a 5A program or a Hartsford or something like that. So they weren't losing to 2A teams. They were losing to big 5A teams or to the collegiates. So that's why we were expecting this year, when we got all those guys kind of together, that it would be that season or that time. And the returners that we have, the biggest one is one of our seniors, Jaden McKenzie. He doesn't pass the eye test, and by that I mean he's about like 5'6", 5'7", but he's got some of the quickest hands and quickest feet. He's so smart. He gets to every spot that he's supposed to get to. He's one of those kids that knows I have to be somewhere every time. And so we're sliding him from second base, where he played last year, over to shortstop to take over for Braden Morgan, who graduated. We're hoping Jaden's bat comes alive a little bit more than it did last year. But as long as he can maintain what he did last year at the plate, his play on the middle infield as a leader is really going to help propel us defensively on our infield. As far as the other returners, so we have our sophomores last year. Austin Catledge was the catcher. Jackson Sellers was our first baseman, outfielder, and Gavin Lowry was our third baseman. And Jackson and Gavin also pitched. Those kids last year as sophomores just played outstanding. We went into the season not knowing if we had a third baseman. And we really didn't think it was going to be Gavin at first. We thought Gavin might actually play second. But we threw him over at third base in the fall. He didn't look great. Kind of talked to him throughout the winter. And then I told him, I said, your bat's going to have to be in the lineup somewhere, and we're going to put you at third. And I don't know what it was. One of my assistant coaches, who actually played for me a few years ago, sat down with him, and they kind of went over the intricacies of playing third in that hot corner, and he really bought in. And he plays up on the grass, and if you show bunt, he's going to be standing in the box with you to take that bunt away. And he did a heck of a job for us at third base. Jackson Sellers playing first. That was another spot where we were just unsure who was going to play there. When one of our seniors, Hunter Gainey, when he pitched. And, so we got to a point where it was like, we're going to throw Jack, because he was another one. We thought we might play him at second base. And we're like, he's big, he's tall, he's long. Let's try him at first. Well, he played first baseman like a middle infield, and that really gave us a lot of athleticism at that corner, where we play a lot of teams that, not only have a few good swinging lefties, but also guys that'll hit backside. And Jackson, we call him, a Puma. He was just able to pop off of that bag, snatch balls, off the ground, out of the air, one hop, backhand, get back to the bag. Again, just a highly athletic kid playing first base. The day of the big lumbering first baseman, I think, are over. You've got to be an athlete to play on the infield anymore. Those kids get all over the place. And those kids, Austin Catlett behind the plate as a sophomore was all-state as a sophomore, hit 433, was 500 most of the year, and, was kind of down on himself that he wasn't at 500 at the end. But, it's hard to control a kid that you hit 433 and Austin was a sophomore, But that's just the competitive nature and his desire to be that good that, is going to, again, help us kind of propel, this year. So those are the three top returners that we have off of the starting lineup. And then, like I said, Jaden McKenzie sliding from second to short. So that's really our core right now.
Gotcha. Yeah, that sounds like a pretty good core there, and really, really exciting to hear that you had younger guys kind of step into larger roles. So I'm wondering, for maybe some newcomers coming this year, maybe guys who are flying a little more under the radar on junior varsity, or kind of maybe some freshmen that you feel like are going to make a big impact coming into this year.
Yeah, I don't know. We won't have any freshmen making an impact this year. Not as my guys hate it when I say this, but like if we start tomorrow, I don't have any freshmen right now that I think are going to come up and do anything with us. I do have some I have one sophomore, but that's the thing where I've had 5 seniors last year. I think we had 4 the year before. We'll have 4. I'm looking at 4 seniors we'll have this year. Next year, I'll have 11 seniors. I've got 11 juniors on the team this year. All things being equal, if everybody comes back healthy, I'll have 11 juniors. And so last year we had some sophomores that we brought up that played, different roles here and there, and they really accepted those roles, and it was good. I hate bringing sophomores up and having them sit, but that's just the nature of the beast in 2A. You don't always have 11 juniors, 10 seniors and so on and so forth. So sometimes you have to bring them up. I felt like we did as good as we could, keeping those guys in the games to keep them a part of what we were doing with the roles they were doing. We have guys, Tanner Sellers last year was our number 1 arm. He played right field. So when he pitched, we had to bring in, one of those guys. So it's really Gavin Love, Carson Sowell, last year. They'll be juniors this year. They were on the varsity. They played outfield spots for us last year, hit or miss. Carson actually was going to start the season in center, but then had a couple injuries and his bat really didn't come around. We replaced him and, but we kept him in the mix, and he's a great base runner. Learned a lot sitting behind some of the older guys, but those two will be big coming up for us. The guys coming off of JV this year, Easton Rollins, Jake Milhorn, Noah Crump, and Gage McManus. Those guys coming up from JV, they got a lot of time on JV last year. Easton will probably, again, if we start tomorrow, he's going to slide in at left field. He doesn't have the big arm, but he's got speed to cover left field. He's really smart reading the ball off the bat. He's got good hand-eye coordination. He's doesn't mind bunting in any part of a count. So we're just hoping, in the fall he did really well for us in left field, coming after the ball, going to get it. We had to have a come to Jesus meeting in one game about the outfielders letting balls drop in front of them. But after that, we looked like Frisbee catching dogs out there. They just went after it where the ball was. So, and then the young arms, Noah Crump and Gage McManus, those two guys. Noah Crump's our quarterback. So he's a big frame young man. He's got a big arm. Gage McManus, I think, is about 6'3". So as long as we keep his head right, get his mechanics right off the bump, He's going to come in for some big innings for us this year and really help us, because that's really what we lost the most last year. We lost our two big arms that had been pitching for us since freshmen and sophomores. And, Hunter had a 1.18 GPA, or not GPA, ERA. Actually, probably had a 5.0 GPA.
I was about to say, hold on, Coach.
Yeah, what do y'all got going up there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No wonder you got won 26 games. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. But Tanner Sellers had a 1.18, and Hunter had a 1. So our two big arms, they were only giving up maybe one run a game. I actually, when the selection committee came out for All-State and stuff like that, I made the argument to one of my coaching friends, in our region. I said, I think some of our guys' numbers didn't look as great as others because we didn't play. I think when we counted it up, we didn't play 3 or 4 games worth of innings because we were beating teams by 10 runs. And I don't apologize for that. And there's going to be times where I get beat by 10 runs, but we lost so many innings and they lost so many at bats because we did so well in the beginning of the game and we're able to jump on teams and get done early. But it just is what it is sometimes. And hopefully we can do that again this year with our bats. But if we scored 2 or 3 runs, that's all we needed with those two arms, because they were going to get up there, they were going to command. We had a pitching staff last year that we felt was pretty deep, and we were comfortable with our middle relief guys. And then Trey Ewing, who our center fielder was, he kind of came out of nowhere as a closer. We felt like it didn't matter if it was 1 run, if it was 2 runs, we could put him on at the end of the game and close games out. So we were able to manage our pitching staff last year to say our starters were only going to go 4 innings. Maybe we stretched them to 5, and then we brought in another guy for the 6th, and then Trey to close in the 7th. And that really worked out for us. Hopefully this year, because our pitching staff is going to be the same amount of depth as far as numbers-wise, we're hoping as long as we get the quality, we'll stick with that same mindset with our pitching staff this year.
Coach, you kind of talked about it right before we started. You had a big year last year, 1 year ahead. You arguably are in the best region in 2A. Some expectations going into this year.
So, talking with, Steve Sellers and Mike Lucas, those two guys, and Trent out at Central, we talk all the time. It's funny. We're all competitive. We love to bash each other's heads in on the field, but when we're off the field, we're all just really good friends. And, just between us talking, we don't know that if there'll be a team that runs the region like AJ has in the past, like we did last year, going undefeated in the region. So I think our region is just going to be highly competitive. I know Central looks really good in the fall. Steve Sellers at Chesterfield, he's got his young guys playing really well, and they've been playing together. AJ's always going to be tough. Sherrall's always tough. So I think this year, as you said, is arguably the best 2A conference in the region in the state. I like playing the underdog role, but I also know that our guys are pretty dang good, and they play some high level baseball. They understand what we want to do. They understand that defense is paramount, and we'll scratch a run or two across and try to win that way. But they just really buy in defensively. And that's just kind of the way that I coach. I feel like if we can keep the game close in the 6th, 7th inning, then our tenacity and our will to win is going to be right there at the end, and we're going to push that run across to come away with the win at the end of the game. So as far as expectations, I expect us to win the region. I really do. I expect us to win the region, but it's going to be very competitive. And I would say, between us, Sherrall, AJ, I think that's going to be your, 1, 2, 3 with a Central, sniffing around there somewhere if somebody drops one. And again, I never count Chesterfield out, because we could beat Chesterfield by 15 runs on Tuesday and then come back and play a 2-run game on Friday. So
I guess probably the only thing you guys got going for you against the Fighting Charlesters is their head coach is also the mayor of their city. So I don't know if you're ever going to get any calls when you go to downtown when you get to town down there.
Absolutely. You go to Sharon, you got David Bird. I mean, he's gonna bring the sheriff out there and everything else. He's gonna do his intimidation. But no, David is a quality guy. I love David. He's a great guy. He's a good friend, very good friend.
Well, awesome, Coach. We definitely appreciate you hopping on. These things, we love doing these, kind of trying to help spread the word, right, about high school around the state. And what I think these are great for, too, is also, how it is, people forget what people look like when they're out of a uniform. So also, a lot of our listeners can put a face with the name of the head coach up there and who's Coach Harris. Boom, here he is. So be able to get your face out there. So we definitely appreciate you hopping on and talking about your program today, and then also as you go into this break and get fired up for a brand new 2025 season around the corner.
Absolutely, I appreciate y'all, helping promote our program and all the other programs around the state. It's great to see. It's great to see these young guys get that recognition because they put in a tremendous amount of work. Our guys, we run almost a 10-month type program where we're playing summer, fall, and then in the spring. And I see on Facebook other friends of mine that are coaches. I see them getting to work in the weight room. And so these guys, they deserve. These players deserve a lot of recognition for the hard work that they do, and I really appreciate what y'all do for that.